figure out what games you're going to have, and it's going to be one after the other.
Yeah, hang on 1 second.
It's like a windfall.
Hang on 1 second. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. May have some sound issues. We're working on the sound for you there, folks. Let us know if you can hear us at all. See, I'm not getting any jumps here. I know why. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. How we doing, folks? You can hear me, and thank you very much. See, Ann's on the ball. Keith Jackson, man, he wanted to tune in so bad for this show, he couldn't wait for us to turn the volume on. Keith, we're slow. In case you haven't figured that out by now.
Listen, Keith, there's nothing about we in this conversation.
All right, so I shouldn't be operating this board. That's evident, but I am. Timmy Gardner producing this show tonight. We are going to go down the 5 championship football games. We'll talk a little bit about the games from last week. Tom, you were at 1 or 2? You had 2?
2 of them, yep.
I don't even know where you are anymore.
I was at the CSP Southwestern game, and I was also at the Salamanca Portville game.
There was a blizzard down there.
It was a blizzard, but it was shocking to see the snow come down the way it did.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, now Dennis is telling me we have no sound. What do you mean you got no sound, Dennis? Hang on 1 second. Let me fix something. All right. Why don't we take a very quick commercial? When we come back, we should have the sound working. Why don't we go to a quick commercial break? And then, Tim, do you have a commercial piped up or no? Do you have a commercial piped in or not? Yeah. All right. Timmy's going to play a quick commercial, and I'll get you to roll in just a second, folks.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com, ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. A few clicks will show you the sales price you can expect for your home. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. So if it's time to sell your home, visit howardhanna.com today, and we'll match you with a local Howard Hanna agent to sell your home fast.
I love being home.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, we should be back now. We should be all back, so thank you very much for pointing out the audio problems we were having, but we switched out our board, and we should be ready to rock and roll with this football preview show. Who are we going to start off with first? What's the first matchup, or do you want to talk about your Salamanca-Portville game from last Sunday?
No, well, that's where you wanted to start. You said you wanted to go bottom up to this time, so you wanted to start down at the Class Ds. And I'll tell you, the Portville-Salamanca game was really about the weather is what it was. The weather came into play. When we got there, it was raining at the field. And we got a chance to go up in the press box. We got everything set up, ready to go. We had time to actually go out on the field to go talk to the coaches ahead of time. When we walked down to the field and walked out on the field, no lie, the water was this deep in places in the field. And when I came momentum. And really, Portville really didn't threaten in that first half versus Salamanca threatened twice and couldn't get the ball into the end zone.
Hang on 1 second. We may have lost sound again. Hang on.
To make sure that we are up and running and you can hear us at this point. Test. Can someone just give me a we're good on the on the Facebook chat? That would be awesome. We apologize for a couple of the bumps in the road that we've had here. Yep, they got us, so we are good. So as Frank had asked me to start things off, we're going to start down in the D conference. Was asking me a little bit about that game of Portville versus Salamanca and absolutely what happened. And I was letting everybody know that you literally walked down when we got a chance after we got there. We walked down to the field. We saw that there was this much water at points in the field where when I got back up to the press box, you could actually see that my feet were completely soaked. I mean, they were really wet, and you had to find certain spots out on the field that really were dry, and there wasn't many spots that were out there that were dry that you could really find.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. We're bouncing on the board. I'm wondering if that. Hey, we're back. Todd said we're back. Dennis says we're back. Michael says we're back. Which means we got to talk about Franklinville-Ellicottville, or Todd's going to send a gangster up here. Tori's on the case. He's definitely going to send a gangster if we don't get this thing working. And Dennis, he's going to cut us a little bit of slack because he knows Michael and Todd are going to take care of us for him. So I turned it all the way up, too. We'll keep it going here. I don't know.
I don't know if you want it all the way up with me talking.
I'm the one that's got to suffer. Those people can turn their TVs down. I can't turn anything down.
All right. So let's go back to what I was talking about with that game. We'll try it over one more time here. And
Franklinville-Ellicottville. It was a monsoon before you got there. And then
no, Franklinville-Ellicottville's not even in this
sorry,
yet.
Portville.
It was Portville and Salamanca is what it was. And like I was telling everybody, when we got there, we got a chance to actually walk the field. And when we walked the field, what had happened was there was water this deep out there. It literally this deep at points. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to dodge, walk in between, do everything I can to just try to find a dry spot that was out there. So after we got a chance to walk the field and really saw there were so many wet spots that were really out there, then what we did, we had the opportunity to go up in the press box and really start to analyze the field. And as we're doing that, here comes that snow in the game next, and the snow just starts coming in.
Yeah.
Well, the cold, the wet, everything that happened on that field came into the play out in the field. Because what we had 6 turnovers inside that first half. With 6 turnovers inside the first half, 3 by each team, nobody got any sort of momentum that was out there. And then, really, the only one who I would give the advantage to in the first half was Salamanca. And the reason was the field position for them was a ton better. They were actually trying to get into the end zone, but just couldn't get over the hump. And that was what you saw pretty much all day was Salamanca had the field position. And it was, one big drive that Portville had, and you saw Portville's running game. You saw how explosive they could be, but it was then a turnover. Something would happen that was
a ton of turnovers in that game.
And that really it came down to then the field position. Salamanca finally did it. What they did was they ran the ball the entire time, which is what we were saying. We were shocked they weren't doing earlier, that we were shocked that they passed the ball as much as they tried to. And this time they went and did the run and then ran with their quarterback, and it was the key to success, and boom, they put it in the end zone.
It was Lucas McKenna. We saw him a few weeks earlier at St. Joe's. They were playing St. Mary's, and he looked pretty good. He had a big line in front of him. He had a halfway decent number 60.
Listen, that right there, to me, was the difference in this game. Especially in a game where it was a complete weather-related scenario out there. I mean, it was a mess. It really was. And if you look at the line that we talked about, right, you just alluded to number 60, Jared White, 6'6", 290. But they've got Cody Shiners, 6 foot 250. 76, Trey Turner's 5'9", 245. 75, William Krause, 6'3", 230. These are lines you normally hear up in the double A's. And they got a line like this in the D side. I'm telling you, this is what came into play.
A lot of those guys go both ways, of course.
Absolutely.
I noticed Turner a ton. Turner, number 76, I noticed him quite a bit on the field. And at one point, he actually almost had a safety. It was late in the third or early fourth. He got into the end zone, and he was one-on-one with a quarterback who just got out of reach quickly. But 76 actually almost had it. He played a very good game. He was in on a lot of plays, made a lot, created tons of havoc. So, and he's only a junior, so we'll happy to see him back next year. I enjoyed the game from front to back. I know it was low scoring. I know there was a lot of turnovers, but I liked the way these teams battled game in or play in, play out. Obviously, with the offense Portville's had this year, we were expecting, a laser show. if you will, because they have that type of offense. But with the weather, that totally forced them to change, and that just fed right into Bartoszek's plan.
Yep.
And it was short field after short field, and eventually Salamanca got into the end zone, and that's why they're moving on to play the Titans this week. And Franklinville-Ellicottville, they've been coming in D for a while. Now, if CSP was still down there, I think it would still be CSP's division to lose. But they're not there anymore. And this Franklinville-Ellicottville team, they were coming on last year. Remember with Logan Frank? I can't remember if he was the guy that didn't make it to New Era Field. One of their top players was out for that CSP game, if you remember, at New Era Field. It could have been Frank. I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't remember who that was. But I know one of the top 2 running backs in that team wasn't there, and that dramatically changed what they wanted to do on offense against CSP.
Right. Well,
And
Logan
remember,
Frank's the quarterback.
Well, they're a running team, are they not? Does he not?
Yeah, absolutely.
He picks up a ton of yards
yeah,
on the ground.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But the thing with that game is, or if you remember that season, they are the only team to beat CSP that year.
Yes.
They beat the CSP
The first
earlier
time.
in the year.
First time they played, yep.
So
And
Tyler
beat 'em.
Clear, that was the kid's name. Okay, thanks, Todd. But I knew they were without one of their top players in that game. So this is going to be a little bit different. Now you've got Chad Bartoszek, the former coach at Franklinville-Ellicottville, going to play his old team in their barn. This game is in Franklinville. You will be there for it with Jake Fyack.
Yep.
But now you've got Franklinville-Ellicottville taking on Salamanca. He left Franklinville-Ellicottville to go back to his old school where he used to play, where he was a student, where he's also, I believe, the assistant athletic director or maybe the principal or something down there, but in addition to being the coach. But Bartoszek's done a very good job. He put Salamanca on the fast track to success. They've got that brand new field, and you got more kids coming out, and he's got some players down there. McKenna, I think he's just a junior too, so I think they'll give Franklinville-Ellicottville a game despite what happened earlier in the year. I think they give Franklinville.
What do you mean happened earlier? It was 7-0 game.
I know that. I know. Well, I don't put a lot of emphasis on games that were played early in the year for this reason only. These teams didn't have a ton of practice. Neither of them did.
I get that, which is why I'm telling you this line right here that you've got for Salamanca gets stronger and better with more play. This line is for real. They are going to keep this a game. I'm going to say that this will be a game. That doesn't mean that this Franklinville-Ellicottville team's not for real. They are. And especially after a loss outside of conference, that 21-7 loss versus Akron, they came on and went right through the D conference. A 7-0 win over Salamanca, a 41-12 win over Cattaraugus Little Valley, 28-0 win over Randolph, 20-0 win over Maple Grove, 50-13 win over Silver Creek, and then wins against Randolph again 34-8.
Yeah.
This team can put up points.
Well, the Maple Grove game was a forfeit, right?
Sorry, yeah, the 20-0 is the forfeit, yes. But you can just see here is they're gonna run the ball. They're gonna be a very tough team. But no matter what to run the ball, you've got to run it against a big line. And that's why I think this game is going to be another close game.
I mean, I hope you're right for the football fan and everyone. Coach Jason Marsh took over the team after Chad left. He's doing a pretty good job with them. Again, I still think they're somewhat young. I still think the program's somewhat young. But even with this quarterback, Logan Frank, who's been, doing a good job last couple of years,
yep.
I still think they're relatively young. And this is even better experience for them. I think they're the team to beat in Class D right now.
Oh, you'd have to say that.
But Salamanca's right on their toes.
Just from an experience standpoint, you got a quarterback who's been there, done it, experienced. Absolutely, you got to give the edge there. But what I'm saying to you is, I preach it every time there's a big game. Every time I go to a big game, what do? I look to line. I look to the battle of the trenches. We got two teams that want to run the ball here. Both quarterbacks will run the ball on top of it. Well, if you're going to do that, you have to run behind a line. And that's what you're going to see. You're going to see also here, you've got some players right now that are big players. You're going to see the line for also Franklinville-Ellicottville, right? You got Braden Palmatier, who's 6 foot 270. You got Harrison Newark, 6'2", 265. You got Nicholas Logaitis, who's 5'11", 220. And then you got Caleb Paiuitz, and I apologize if I said that wrong, 6'1", 220. So again, you got some big guys over on this side of the ball too. But this is going to be is I'm going to look right now to the battle of the trenches. And when you look at a first game where you saw 7-0 right there, really, that's what I'm going to look at. It's because you had a huge line that's coming into play to keep scoring low. Especially when you said it, they're going to play both sides of the ball. So these big guys that you're talking about are the ones that are on the defensive line at the same time.
Yeah, another guy that stands out for the Titans to me is Wyatt Chuddy.
Yep.
Senior, he can definitely do some damage. Logan Granols, they got some good bloodlines down there. They produce very good football players. I said young. I think they're a little young, but you can argue with me.
Well, you look at it.
Will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see many players that are here under 11 and 12th grade.
Yeah, you got some 10th graders coming up. And again, I don't want to take a lot away from Portville. That was a horrible field to play on, horrible conditions, and they were running through teams. So they're another team. When you talk about D, I like Franklinville-Ellicottville where they are. I absolutely like what Salamanca is doing, but we can't forget about Portville. You have a three-headed monster there right now, and then Randolph, numbers have been low. Maybe they can pick that up a little bit and get back into the fray. I think that's
Frank,
down
remember,
there.
Portville had beaten Salamanca 54-14 earlier in the year. So no doubt, right, that Portville team is for real. No doubt what hurt them was the weather. There's no doubt in my mind that weather really came into play in that game. But I'm going to tell you, I really believe this next game, we're going to see a good one.
I certainly hope so. I like the Franklinville-Ellicottville team and to win D. I had said that before the season started. I just liked that team. I knew Salamanca was coming. I didn't know Portville was going to be that good heading into the season, though. I'll be the first and last to admit that. I didn't think Portville was that strong going into the season. I'm very impressed with what they were able to do.
I'm going to say this, and I this could be the game of the weekend. When you're talking about how close this game is capable of being, it has the possibilities of being the game of the weekend.
I don't know. It's a big game.
I think we got,
but I don't think this is.
I think we got a couple.
I think we got a Lancaster Orchard Park. I don't think it's even close to that in terms of.
No, I'm not talking about how everybody's following it or anything. I'm talking about just a game. Oh, we've got a lot of possible blowouts that are going to happen this weekend. Hate to say it, we really do. Yeah, we've got a couple.
We had a ton last week.
Absolutely. This has got that game that's shaped up.
You're talking. This is going to be the game that's going to be could be the closest game, pound for pound. This could be, come down to the last possession.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't disagree with that, but I think that Lancaster Orchard Park game has that feel to it right now, and we will get into that. We will talk about it. I think this Medina Southwestern could be an absolute shootout for the ages. I think you could see 70 points in that game alone.
We'll talk about that. I think
he's not agreeing at all.
No, I think it could be a shootout, but I think Medina is just this much. They're really strong. They really are. I mean, watching now. I've gotten a chance to see CSP, Southwestern, and Medina.
Yes,
I've seen them all.
Yep.
Seen them all live.
Yep.
And that Medina team is for real. Aiden Kennedy for Southwestern is for real.
Oh yeah.
But I will say this. I thought there were a lot of balls that he threw into very tight coverages that he got away with. He's not going to get away with it.
Got away with because the coverage wasn't there?
No, they were tipped balls, didn't get intercepted. They could have been. Oh, okay. There were a couple shots that he took into very tight spaces he can't do this week. Because I believe if he does do it this week, it's going to be an interception, return for 6.
You know what? I'm surprised a little bit, only because they were playing on that grass field. Did that come into play at all? You play on a turf field game in, game out. Now you go play CSP.
I don't know if it really did, because I'm going to tell you what. There's something I will say about Aiden Kennedy, and I said this to him after the game. When you saw a quarterback roll out the way he did, roll out, square his shoulders up, and throw the ball, may have been one of the best I've seen in this area in a long time. That's how good he looked. When he would roll out, square the shoulders up, and throw the ball to his target, was good, was dang good. I'm going to tell you right now. And the only thing, like I said, was I thought sometimes he just tried to fit it into a couple tight squeeze places that maybe that he was trying to make something happen, right? Listen, the one thing that CSP was priding itself on was its team defense, that team defense that it had. And when it came into play, you saw when there was someone near the ball, there were 3-4 players. It didn't matter what it was, were right near that ball. That was a team defense type team that they stood up and do. So you knew
they didn't want to give up the big play.
Absolutely,
Give up something underneath, but get to the ball right away. That's
but
what
even the underneath stuff, right? They were all over.
Yeah.
So
Frank Payne defense.
Right.
Chris Payne defense.
Now,
Excuse me.
we saw like Eden, right, that played Medina. Eden can throw the ball. You saw how good this quarterback has been. He can really throw the ball. What happened when he threw the ball? Into this Medina defense, right? we talked about Brian Fry even more and more and more is what we did.
Yep.
I just think that Medina's got a couple more horses than right now than Southwestern's got.
This is where I really love picking a team that's got the experience going into this kind of game. Class C when we first started, it was nothing but Cleve Hill. That's all you heard about. Cleve Hill, can you stop that running attack? And you just couldn't.
Yep.
Nobody could until last year. Cleve Hill lost those backs. They didn't have those studs anymore running. They had a three-headed monster for as long as I can remember until last season. And then we thought maybe it was time for Akron to come up, or maybe that Wilson team was finally going to sneak in. And Southwestern is back, baby. I mean, this was a legendary football program. They never really lost their way. It's just Cleve Hill was just so good offensively, like Glenn Graham offense. You knew what Graham was going to do. You knew he was running. He told you. He showed you. You couldn't stop it. You couldn't stop it no matter what you tried.
And guess what?
And
They're
they won.
coming back.
I know.
He's building it again.
I know.
They're coming
I know.
back. They'll be back. Don't worry about it. I know Coach Graham's.
Don't give those teams nightmares yet. Let them sleep tonight.
But listen,
it's Southwestern's division right now. That's their class. They're Class C. They've got a good quarterback. They've got all the talent on offense. They've got the skill positions. They've got the line. This is a tough game for Medina.
You think they're going to beat Medina?
Yes.
Wow, I don't think you watch Medina enough. You have not seen Medina enough.
I understand. But and look, I love Medina. I love what Brian Fry does. That kid Chin.
Yep.
That other kid. Two very very good ball players. When the football's in their hands, look out. Xander, the quarterback, Xander Payne, very good. I'm just going to say.
Baseball player, 85 miles an hour. That kid will throw on the mound. I'm telling you, he's legit. Xander.
Yeah, Xander. Payne, Fry's a baller too.
Fry's going Division I baseball. He's going to play at the University of Toledo.
You're talking about one of the best athletes in Western New York.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, if we were talking about a Conley Cup, we'd be talking about his name as one of the finalists, if not possibly the player to be there.
Okay.
He'd be one of them.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
I'm not saying, again, one of them. There are a lot of guys out there we'd be talking about, okay? But this is one of them. We'd be right in the mix.
I like the fact that Southwestern just has that experience. Meneer's been there. Kennedy's been there. These are guys that have played in big games. Medina hasn't played in those big games yet. It's been a while.
Listen, they may not have played it on the football field, but they've played it in other sports. Okay, and they've been in that spot in other sports. I'm telling you, this team's ready. This team's for real. And I think they are deeper at some of the positions that we're going to talk about there. Okay. Listen, I love Southwestern, right?
Yeah.
Southwestern is a dang good team and just beat a really good CSP team. I 100% agree that they're – and so I don't want it to come off like I don't believe in Southwestern. They're not a good team because they are, right? Yeah. But I'm going to tell you, I just think there are more guys right there athletically when you're talking about it, all the positions that they have a little more out there than what Southwestern is.
I seen Medina play Tonawanda, and they took care of business.
Mm-hmm.
I expected them to. They took care of business at Tonawanda. Fry, legitimately one of the top players in football players in Western New York. Chin's good. The quarterback Payne's good. Good defensively too. They got a great rush. I like Medina. Don't get me wrong. I'm in these types of games when you're playing for a championship. I look at your resume. The last few years, players that have come back, players that have played in those big games before. And that's why I would give the nod to Southwestern. That's why I give the nod to Franklinville-Ellicottville in Class D. So I do like Southwestern in this game. But if Medina were to win, no surprise to me. Nothing surprises me in high school football. Nothing. You've seen too much.
That's why you play the game.
Exactly.
I 100% agree with you.
So,
but there's, like I said, when we talk about this team that's out there, I mean, just even look at just running backs, right? Here alone. Brian Fry, 628 yards, which we've already talked about. 10 yards, averages 10 yards a carry with 63 carries. You've also got a guy that's ran for 209 yards, averaging 10 yards a carry. Corey Sage, right? And then we'll talk about Tyler Chin that we've already talked about.
Sage's got a year or two left, does he not?
No, he's a senior.
He is a senior?
Mm-hmm. Joe Cicchini, who we saw on the basketball court, did it in the basketball court, and again, another baseball player that we're going to be talking about here very shortly, who had 120 yards receiving. Plus you had Chin with 304 yards receiving, Fry with 290, Jaron Rim with 168. You had four guys over 100 yards.
Yep. No question about it. Nothing would surprise me, but I'm gonna.
How about Xander Payne, 938 yards, 15 touchdowns. Like I just said,
how many to Fry?
Fry had
5.
Well, rushing
Receiving?
he had 7 rushing, and he had 3 receiving.
Okay. Yeah,
Tyler Chin had 6 receiving.
Aiden Kennedy has another year or two left.
Oh, I know. Oh, trust me, I know that, and he is getting some serious looks. Everybody.
He's a baseball player too, is he not?
Yeah.
Aiden.
Yeah, but I mean, football is going to be his sport that we're out there talking about, and I know he's getting looks right now from some of the different divisions out there. Division I, he's absolutely getting some looks and absolutely deserves it, especially when I saw his form and what he does. There's some great things that are going to come from him, and I don't want to downplay. I really want to upplay what I've seen from Medina, and it just was one after another. Like I said, Brian Fry can sit down, and I still think these guys have more guys that are just going to step up.
I will say I do like Southwestern's defense. I do like their defense, and to me, that's the difference in this game. I don't know if now they played Tonawanda. Tonawanda's got a good defense, a very good defense, but I think Southwestern's defense is just better all around.
Oh, it should be better.
Defensive backs,
I agree with that.
Excellent coverage. Linebackers, you got Cale Ricker, and you got Drew Wigren, a couple of tough farm boys, if you will. Those guys can hit, man. Those guys can hit, and they will hit, and they are going to hit. And I think that's the difference. So why don't we
also don't leave out just one more point for Southwest. Don't leave out Munir. Munir's another kid that really can turn it on, especially running the ball and passing. He's going to be both a double threat and another player that we absolutely want to watch out for.
Do you want to know who the difference in this game is?
Who?
For me, Nate Johnson, number 35. Keep your eye on him. Number 35, Nate Johnson for Southwestern. To me, he is the difference in this particular game.
We called his name multiple times down in the CSP game. No doubt another player that you want to watch out for. And to be honest with you, in big games like this, it's normally not that one standout player, right? Or it's maybe the standout player that you're not talking about in this one. But definitely, it's got the makeup for a incredibly high-scoring game, I'll tell you that.
That's going to lead us to the Class B championship. Now, that game's played Sunday. Saturday. Sorry, everybody, Saturday, 2 p.m. And that is at John B. Wiley Stadium. We got John Simon. Are you in that game too? You and
Yes.
John? Okay,
Yep.
so you and John are on that game. Saturday, 2 p.m., John B. Wiley. Western New York Maritime Health Sciences are hosting Iroquois. Maritime Health Sciences, as you know, led by Addie Copeland, a kid that's been talked about. He's been all over the Buffalo News, and he's been in Market Dares magazine last year quite a bit. We've talked about him ad nauseum. He's a great athlete, probably one of the best special teamers in Western New York, if not the top Western special teams player in Western New York. Phenomenal athlete, and they're going to
top
be
special teamer in New York State. That's how
Okay.
good I think he is. I'll give
Could
him
be.
that honor.
Okay. And they get Iroquois, a team that's been moving the ball effectively. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. Are they as good offensively as Maritime?
It's hard to say anybody is as good offensively as Maritime. What to me is going to be the difference in this game, which is probably more of a strength to Iroquois, is their defense. The question is their defense as good as what Maritime's going to bring out? And that is where I think you're going to see Iroquois really do well. I mean, look at the games they've played so far, right? 12-0 West Seneca East.
Yep.
31-0 Cheektowaga. 68-6 over Lewiston Porter, and 46-15 over Olean.
Okay.
And a lot of points were the points that were scored. Some of them were late, right?
Yep.
So
I mean, their defense is great.
That's where we're going to look at. But the question is now, again, we're going to look to this. We're going to say this like I've been saying it over and over again. It's going to all start in the trenches. If they can get penetration and get to some of these running backs before they get to the outside, they can make some things happen. If these running backs, right, as well as quarterback that we all know, can get to the outside before you get to them, it could be a long day.
Does it make any difference that Maritime hasn't played in 2 weeks? Their final score isn't on the website against Dunkirk, but they took care of business down there. They won handily down there, and I thought that was going to be a lot. At the beginning of the year, I thought that game would be a lot closer than it actually was.
Well, Dunkirk didn't have the year that
they did not.
That we normally expect from Dunkirk.
Shout out to anybody that's watching from Dunkirk tonight, Fredonia. Had to get that in there. I got friends down there. But Maritime defensively, they're very stingy, obviously. I mean, they gave up those 6 points against Newport. Is that what it was? Or no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 6 points against Newport, 15 versus Olean. Oh, are you talking about Maritime?
Yeah, Maritime. They haven't given up a point. If you take out that Franny's game, they didn't surrender a single point. Now, they only played 3
in their conference. Yep.
games in their conference. So that's a sense of pride for them. And
Absolutely.
Coach Ty Parker. Iroquois can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They've got the weapons. Can they move the ball effectively on this Maritime defense? That's the question.
This Blake Nolan is a big, strong running back. If you don't tackle him and you try to arm tackle this guy, he's going to run right through it. He is an absolute beast. And then you talk about Trey Kleitz, who's their quarterback, right? We know he's a gamer. We know he can play. We know he's going to be ready. We know absolutely that he's going to be ready to go in this game, and so is this Iroquois team. I talked about this too. Probably one of the underestimated coaching staffs that we don't talk about enough in Western New York is this Iroquois coaching staff.
Pizzanca. He is very well prepared.
Yep. As well as he's got great assistants with him too.
Yep. I like what they're doing over there. I was very impressed when I met him for the first time a few years ago at the Lancaster 7-on-7 when he first took over the job. But he's got them going the right way. And I believe Ben Woods works with a lot of those players in the offseason. You know, Ben,
Yep.
With what he does. Excellent guy to work out with and to get if you can get into his program.
But I'm going to tell you right now, I love Ty Parker.
Yep.
I love what this guy does.
Yep.
He's a gamer, and I've also loved what he did this season. He didn't care what was going to happen in that St. Francis game. That St. Francis game was played for this game right here.
Yes, it was.
Right? To get them ready to go after a sectional championship. And he knew that if he challenged those players, they were going to get better, They knew how to get better, and they were going to do it against some of the top competition in Western New York. Give him credit, and I'm going to tell you, this team's going to be ready. I love the athletes on this Maritime team, and I'll tell you, this is going to be a great game.
We're talking about 16, 17, 18-year-old boys here. It's easy for the mentality to creep in, and someone mentioned it on Facebook, and I was going to bring it up, the overconfidence factor. We've seen it already this year with teams going into a game where they should have beaten an opponent and they didn't because they just went in thinking, we're going to win this, we need to show up. We almost saw it with South Park NT earlier in the year.
We almost saw it with South Park and Grand Island.
We almost saw it there too. You can't be overconfident, especially right now. You want to be confident in yourself, but you don't want to go into a game thinking we don't have to play to our potential. You absolutely have to play to your potential each play. You can't just show up and think because of our record and what we've done, and this team's never been around, that you're just going to go in and win. Because, and I'm not saying Maritime's overconfident right now. I don't want to even suggest it. I'm bringing it up because it's something I wanted to point out earlier, that we have seen teams go into a game where they were just a little bit overconfident. I don't see that at all with Maritime
Right.
Health Sciences.
And we're not even saying it happened in this, like you said, with South Park there. To be honest with you, Grand Island played one hell of a game right there and had a game ready to go in that one. So I don't want to even downplay what Grand Island did because they were phenomenal and really was a 2-point conversion right now from playing Jamestown.
Yes.
So you want to give them all the credit in the world right there. But listen, this Maritime team is, you just talked about it with Southwestern, right? Been there, done that, right? Well, guess what? This Maritime team has been there, done it, and done it in multiple sports. Yes. I think my opinion in this game is the scoring. If the scoring gets high and this turns into a high-scoring game, that's a Maritime right there. It is going to be a win. If it's low-scoring and close, and you keep this Iroquois team in there and give them some momentum in this game, that's when you can see it be an Iroquois game. Iroquois got to keep this game low scoring in my eyes with the defense, and then have their offense with Nolan and Kleitz.
They have to find a way to keep Maritime's offense off the field.
Yep.
Because they could score in one play. Whether it's a short pass, they could take it all the way on a short pass, or a long bomb. They have the ability to do that. Iroquois does too, but I think they need to be more methodical and keep that keep that Maritime offense off the field, run that clock down as much as you can, keep it a close scoring affair, and I think with that mentality, and if that works for them, or if that does work for them, you could be seeing an upset. Because I would call this an upset if Iroquois wins this game.
Oh, I would too. I think anybody in Western New York would. I agree. But like I said, if you see the scoring come out, I think that plays into the hands of what Maritime's trying to do. If it's close and the confidence starts coming for Iroquois, I think it's got to be a lower scoring game, something to that 2019, even the 24-21. I think it's got to be really, lower scoring than what these two teams are used to, right? They're used to putting 50 up on the board against anybody.
Like any game we've talked about, including this one, it also comes down to turnovers.
Yep.
And mistakes. You're lined up for 4th and 3. Do you jump off sides and extend the drive when you're in a close game? Those are killers. That's what it's going to come down to. Coaching and just being on your A game. Bringing your A game into this weekend. That's what you got to do, and just have that mindset of just sticking to the game plan, listening to your coaches, following the game plan, and just being disciplined. Being disciplined. Wait for that snap count. Be on your A game this Friday, because you don't want to jump off sides and extend those 4th and 3s, give them 1st and 10, fresh set of downs, that sort of thing. Those are killers.
Absolutely. Ty Barker's going to have them ready, and I'm sure Iroquois is going to be ready. It's going to be a nice one. I think this is going to be a great game.
And you'll be there. No, you won't be there.
I will. I'll be there.
No, you will be there. That's Saturday. Okay, we're going to go to the Jamestown South Park game. I'm heading down to Jamestown with Norm Rodriguez and Jeremy Becker. We will be calling that game Friday night down in Jamestown, 7 o'clock, Strider Field. To me, no better place to play football than at Strider Field. And South Park, to me, I know that Coach Delaney has told me that they may not be as healthy as he'd like, but you look at that team with Jackson and Fluid, Jackson could be playing on one leg and still beat you. I'm not kidding. Fluid could be playing on one leg and still beat you. I love this Jamestown team. I have said time and again this is a state caliber championship team, and I thought that about South Park too. They are talented enough to go very far in the state playoffs if we were to have them.
Yep.
Now they don't have Mikhail Hepburn, but Jamestown has not seen an edge rusher like Fluid. They have not. They have not seen a running game like South Park's. Is that enough to win? I don't know. We will find out on Friday. But you absolutely cannot count out that South Park team. I know Coach is telling me that they're not 100%. I don't believe it.
No, they aren't.
Well,
without Hepburn, they're not 100%.
Okay, I get that. But no team's healthy right now. Everyone's bruised and banged.
I don't know. This Jamestown is pretty healthy.
They lost one of their top running
backs. Oh, that's
backs.
right. You know what? They lost. Why am I blanking on who it was? Yes, I know exactly who.
Yeah, their other top running back. I'll tell you who it is. He was shoulder. The baseball player, Damari Jones. Basketball player, Damari Jones.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Damari is most likely out. I believe they told me it was going to be a long 6 to 8 week process for him. So he's done. But again, South Park, big, strong, tough, physical. They are the reigning Class A champions. They've played in big games. Going down to Strider Field, Jamestown, to them that's like going to Canton, Canton, Ohio, or something to play a big game there. They don't care. That's going to be a nice road trip for them to get down there. I don't know what their game plan is heading into that game as far as are they going to stop somewhere and have a walkthrough, or are they going to go right to Strider Field and do their thing before they get out. But, you talk about Coach Delaney. This guy does have a state championship under his belt. He's got a ring. I think he even wrote a book. So, he's a winner.
He's a winner.
He's a winner, but he's a well-coached coach, meaning he goes to those symposiums. He goes, listens, and picks up tidbits from professionals, the college coaches. He's not afraid to try new things. Even at times, you see some of the play calls, you're like, wow, I didn't see that coming from Tim. That's an unbelievable play call right there. That's crazy what he's trying to do there. But he's got guts. He's got guts.
Agreed.
And they're not going down thinking they're the underdog at all.
I don't think any team should be going down there thinking they're an underdog, right?
But we're talking about young guys, 16, 17, 18. They see a team that's scoring 50, 60 points a game.
And what do they say? We score 50, 60 points a game, too.
I know that.
Here's
this is a different team.
You just said Jamestown hasn't seen a team like South Park yet. South Park hasn't seen a team like Jamestown yet either. This Butera kid is for real, right? Rojas and then Drake. And here's what is mind-blowing is Drake is a sophomore out there as a quarterback, but a sophomore with a year of experience of Double-A conference already under his belt, right? Playing Double-A conference. He's got a year, took that team to the playoffs. So, I think and you got to look at is that quarterback play does come into play a little bit. And then I'm going to say this again. I've been saying it already on this broadcast. Line. You look at Jamestown's line, right? They've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 players that are 290 plus. 4. 290 plus. A 6'5", 300-pounder in Joey Delgado. You've got Julian Magawki, 6'3", 290. Dominic Osceola, 6'5", 290. Joseph Van Geysen, 6 foot, 290. Just to give you Caleb Band, 6 foot, 265. Right? I mean, their line is for real. Now, I'm also going to say is Jackson, as well as Fulgham, man, those guys you can just hand them the ball. Could be a touchdown.
Yep. Pearl Fulgham's approaching 400 yards on the season. Jackson's approaching 600 yards rushing. I mean, Fulgham's averaging almost 12 yards a carry. He's got 6 touchdowns on the year. Am I reading that? Yeah, Fulgham's got 6. Jackson's got 10. I mean, look at all the different guys that have run the ball for them this year. They've got more guys that have touched the ball rushing than some guys do have tackles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some teams have just as many guys with carries as other teams have with tackles.
And Fulgham had 5 in the last 2 games.
Well, he's not just a good running back; he's also a good receiver.
Yes.
And I think he was a Colony Cup nominee this past week as well. So good luck to them this week. They're going to have they got their work cut out. I think is it Mike Pajak that takes over at quarterback now? Is that his name? Because I know Jackson will line up back there too.
It was Pajak. Yep.
Okay. So Pajak has to get some experience. I mean, welcome to welcome to Jamestown. We didn't mention this before, but we talked to Mark DeFilippo before we went on air, the Section 6 executive chairman. He said it's up to the schools as far as who's allowed in, how many are allowed in. So he didn't want to speculate, but he did say that it is up to the host school. So it's either 2. Originally, he said it was 2 spectators per athlete. And then I heard 500. I heard the number 500, up to 500.
That's what's coming from the state. That's why.
So we'll have to wait and see on that. Either way, that game will be on WNY Athletics. We'll be there live streaming. Not to worry. If you don't want to make the 90-mile trip, you can catch us on that. We've done a very good job all year streaming those Jamestown games. Have had very little issues, if any. So that's a huge game.
Who are you picking?
I've been picking Jamestown since this time last year. It's tough for me to not pick Jamestown, but I will say this. If Fluid can get to the quarterback, and that's not a big if, because this is a guy going to play D1 football.
Oh,
okay.
This guy's getting tons of D1 football looks, yep.
Drake hasn't been under that kind of pressure yet. And, 3 steps back, Fluid's back there already.
Yep.
So it just depends. If they can get the running game going and take Fluid out of it, then it's Jamestown. But if Fluid can create, I hate to say it, but that kid, he's probably banged up a little bit like anyone else. He's got to put that team on his back, at least defensively. And there's other players there too on defense for South Park that can definitely, they will have to pick it up. They will have to step up. But Fluid can have a very, very big impact on the game. If South Park's going to win, he needs a huge game defensively for them to slow down that Jamestown offense. And again, they're kids. They're resilient, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. It's going to be a game for the ages, I think. I don't think it's going to – look, Kemmer West has a good running game. They don't have a great running game. South Park has a great running game. And Ken West did a good job of keeping that Jamestown offense off the field at least for a half. They got some turnovers. South Park would be wise to watch that film, see what Ken West did against Jamestown, because they took Jamestown for at least a half, a little over.
Yeah.
It's a close game. So I would pay attention to that game film and see what Ken West did against Jamestown to at least slow them down. I think South Park is much better than Ken West defensively. I know they're better than them offensively, even without Hepburn. So I would watch that game film and see what that recipe was. If I was Delaney, I'd be on the phone with Haynes and comparing some notes to see what they can do. But that game should be a lot closer than some people want to give South Park credit for. But I think they'll be a lot closer. I have to go with Jamestown, though. I've been picking them since this time last year. And Coach Delaney knows that.
He knows it. Uh-oh.
I know he knows it. I'm the bulletin board material for a lot of teams. That's okay.
Oh, I'm sure you've given Southwestern all my bulletin board material bringing up that game.
It's all right. That's all right. You're the baseball guy. I can't be too mad at you. That brings us to Lancaster and Orchard Park. The last time these two teams played was where?
The Ralph.
New Era Field, Ralph, Blue Cross, whatever they call that place. What do they call it now?
I don't care.
I don't even care what they call that place.
Listen, everyone says the games are at the Ralph. That's where it was.
It's at the Ralph. There are definitely at least Jason Manziel was still around, the quarterback. You know, you look at that game, Tom. You've seen both teams. You know them both very well. You got Gosella, the Orchard Park quarterback, a sophomore, hasn't really played in a real big game yet. Well, since it's such a short season, he's been getting better every single week. I mean, week in, week out, he's been improving. Lancaster, Manziel's played in all the big games on both sides. You know, offense, he's baseball, this, that, and the other, basketball. He's played in big games. He's a big-time player. He rises to the challenge, and Gosella's got to learn to do that. And there's no better place to start than Friday night in Lancaster. I like that Orchard Park defense. I love that Lancaster offense. Two great coaches, very good coaches. The key to me in that game, Tom, for Orchard Park is Mancabelli. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because I know Sullivan's been getting a lot of carries.
Mm-hmm.
Lancaster's got to pick their poison. Are we going to let Sullivan beat us or make someone else? And I think that someone else is Mancabelli, who has been a little bit overlooked even by me this year. He should have been a Connolly Cup nominee at least 1 week. I like what Mancabelli's been able to do for them this year. And I think he is the guy that we need to key on. I think he's the guy that's going to step up for Orchard Park, and I can see the Quakers winning this game. I think they're better than Lancaster on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, but I do like the Orchard Park defense, and I do like the Lancaster offense. But I think I might like that Orchard Park defense just a little bit more. The thing I'm concerned about and be worried about is Lancaster and what they have prepared and what they're going to do against Gosella. Can Gosella execute with the kind of pressure he's going to see on Friday night? That's his first game in Lancaster.
Yes.
That could be a little overwhelming. That's why Sully's got to get it going, and then Mancabelli. Those two guys got to be leaders. Are they both seniors?
Keegan's the junior.
Okay, Keegan's the junior man.
Yeah.
And, okay, those guys got to step up, and I think a lot of it's going to fall on Mancabelli. I think Lancaster will do a good job of taking Sully out of the game or doing a good enough job to focus on him, and that frees up Mancabelli to have himself a pretty good game. We'll have to wait and see. But again,
Sullivan's a senior, though.
Okay, but the Manziel factor.
That's a big factor.
It is a huge factor. When you talk about the best quarterbacks in Western New York, we don't often Manziel's name isn't the first one brought up, and maybe it should be. He might be better than Ryan was, and remember how good Ryan was.
Mm-hmm.
We should be talking about Jason Manziel more when we talk about the best quarterbacks in Western New York. He can throw with the best quarterbacks in Western New York. He could run the ball, but again, at the line of scrimmage, understanding what type of defense is in front of him, his patience, just his overall ability to run, throw, he might be the most polished quarterback in Western New York. And I don't think we talk enough about him, personally.
He's probably our most experienced.
He's definitely the most experienced
in Western New
quarterback.
York, a lot of that comes with experience. You know,
he plays AA.
Listen, when you talk about a leader, period, a leader, you want somebody out there that's going to lead the team. This is the kid you want, period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've watched him do it in every single sport.
Yeah.
I'll never forget watching him last time, not this past season for basketball, the last time they played basketball when they won the sectionals against Orchard Park. They were down. I watched him go out on the floor. He was like a coach. Brought him into a huddle. Literally was in all of them, talking to them, getting them pumped up for the game. And from that moment on, you saw a complete different team play. And it was because of what he did out on that floor as a leader. And that's going to be the same guy that's going to be in that huddle, the same guy that's going to be out there passing the ball, the same guy we're going to see on the baseball field as a catcher. I'm telling you, I will never, ever bet against this kid. This kid is something else. Just absolutely phenomenal. And I'll tell you, Lancaster wouldn't want anyone else under center.
Understood. I to me, it's a toss-up game, but I think it's Lancaster. I think it's Orchard Park's year. I do. I do believe this is Orchard Park's year. I think they're still stung from the new Field championship game a couple years ago, and I think there's enough guys there that remember what happened, that don't want a repeat of what happened there. I mean, there's some change.
Oh, there's nobody here from when it happened, but I will say this is they're all got older brothers from what it happened. That I will say, because I can name about 10 guys here that has an older brother that played along the way here in Orchard Park. And listen, the one thing that I like about Orchard Park, that I know you're talking about Keegan, and Keegan absolutely from an athletic standpoint, you're talking about a pole vaulter, you're talking about a track athlete, you're talking about a baseball player. The kid is an absolute athlete that's got speed. But what I've really liked about so far watching this Orchard Park team is that they've got multiple weapons that are receivers. You've got other sophomore Dylan Evans right now with 264 yards receiving. He's got 5 of their touchdowns. Keegan's got 6. I watched Aiden Dempsey have an incredible game. They had a Conley Cup performance already this season, who did it because he did it offensively and defensively for them. Don't forget about Jeremy Copeland. And then, oh, by the way, he's got a brother at wide receiver, Roman Gasella, who can also do some damage, both offensively and defensively there himself. And listen, it's all going to also happen with Tommy Sullivan. It has been great to see what he's done running the ball, but the reason why they've been so effective running the ball is because of the line, period. That line in Orchard Park has just been unbelievable this season. We knew it was going to be. We knew that was the strength. For those of you who don't know enough about Ben Gasella, I'm going to tell you, the kid has been playing up his whole life, right? On the baseball field, on football, it doesn't matter what the sport is, the kid is constantly played up. I'll tell you right now, we talked about a pitcher with Xander over at Medina throwing 85. You should see this kid as a catcher. You got the 2 catchers in Manziel and Gasella that are now going to go head-to-head to each other on the field as far as quarterbacks go. The one thing I will say is I am sure there are going to be some things defensively that Lancaster's going to have ready that Orchard Park has not seen before, or that Gasella hasn't seen before. I'm sure of it. And I'm sure Orchard Park is sure of it, right? It's going to boil down to right now, you've got a 4-time defending champion, sectional champion. You got to knock them down.
Yes.
That's what it boils down to is right now, you got to give the early nod to Lancaster because they're the 4-time defending champs, period. And until they're beat, they're the favorite.
Rupp has not lost a sectional title game yet since taking over.
Yeah.
That says a lot. Really, that should...
And it started against my son when I on the field, so I get it.
That's really all you need to say, is he hasn't lost yet. But if you're Orchard Park, you've been climbing that mountain. Yeah. Now is the time to take down the big dogs. Can you do it? Can they do it? I think Craig Dana is ready. I think he could definitely lead them. And he's got a great assistant coaching staff, as you know.
Absolutely. I mean, Chuck Sen, Coach Franco. I mean, it just goes on and on over there. I love their coaching staff in Orchard Park, too. I mean, it is absolutely a top-notch coaching staff. Love those guys over there in Orchard Park. And I also think the world of the guys in Lancaster. You hear me say it time and time again. Lancaster could be, one of the best coaching staffs in Western New York, if not the best coaching staff in Western New York.
Yeah.
We've heard, Coach Brusso come on and do games for us. You can hear by the way he talks games, the way he breaks film down, and the way he understands the game and the way he understands matchups and be able to pull things out of those matchups. He's phenomenal at it. And I also know he's up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning doing that with all these other coaches that are out there, right? So, I mean, listen, it's going to be a great matchup. And the question's going to be right now is whose strength is going to be the one that steps up, right? Is it going to be the line, the defensive line, offensive line of Orchard Park? Or will it be the offense of Lancaster?
You almost talked me out of my pick. But seriously, to me, it's like a toss-up game. You like to go with you usually, you know me, I like to favor the experience. I like to favor the experience. I think that running game of Orchard Park, coupled with the way that defense has played all year, I think this could be the recipe that finally beats that Lancaster team. Bennett was close. They had the great running game, and they had a very good defense, very fast. And
You mean against Lancaster
yes.
this year?
No, back in the stadium 3 years ago when Bennett
yes.
should have beat Lancaster.
Okay, I apologize.
When
I
their
know where
first
you're going
two
with that.
runs went for 160 yards combined, and then they abandoned the running game.
Listen, it would have been something because I did feel that Bennett team was getting better and better
Yes.
and better each game because they were such a young team. I would have loved to see them be able to go out there and play to see what they were going to do next. But when they played Lancaster, it was the first time a lot of those guys saw varsity play. And it was close in the first half, closer in the first half, and then Lancaster pulls away absolutely in the second half. And, right now you just look at here's the key. Lancaster has yet to see a defense like Orchard Park yet. And Orchard Park has yet to see an offense like Lancaster yet. Right? It really is. They haven't seen each other. They know how good each other's going to be. I know they've been looking at the film right there. It's built up to be the AA game that you want to see, a AA matchup you want to see. Yep. And, by the way, it's a rivalry game.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Oh, by the way, it's a rivalry game. And it may be, out of all the matchups out there, it may be the only true rivalry matchup that's out there.
Yeah.
For the whole weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Right? I think South Park, Jamestown could turn into one, but Jamestown's been in the AA. So you can't say it's been a rivalry. It may turn into if Jamestown stays at A with South Park, right? Medina and Southwestern, you cannot tell me it's been a rivalry. You can't. Salamanca, Franklinville-Ellicottville may turn into a rivalry,
Yep.
But as you say right now, true rivalry game, this is it.
Yeah. That's going to do it for at least going through the games. You haven't made your pick yet, so.
I'm going to stay away from that game.
All right. That's fine. So you're going to hang me. You're going to throw me totally under the bus.
Listen, you hung me down to the Southwestern one. You can hang in that one.
All right. I got a couple calls into the guys that run that Lions Club game every summer. We didn't have it last year. It's going to come down to this, and that's for the seniors. They usually take the top one or two, maybe three seniors from each team, and they send them to the Lions Club All-Star game played in July. If you want that game, I think you got to lobby the athletic directors or, I don't know, the Erie County Health Department. You want that game. We missed it. We lost it last year. We're playing sports. We're opening up the stadiums. People are getting vaccinated. I think they can easily have this game. I don't know if Flick School would say you can have it here, but we've talked to a couple of the private school coaches already. One in particular before the game said we could most likely have it here. So we should be able to have that Lions Club game. You seniors out there that think you're going to play in it, start lobbying for it now. Don't wait for us to do it because we really don't have a say. We can push for it, but you are the ones that play in that game. You want that game. You got to start making some phone calls, sending some emails to get in touch with your athletic director and your football coach and say, hey, what do we got to do to play this game this year? What do we got to do? And then if you're not getting anywhere, call me or Tom or text us, tweet at us. Let's try to make that Lions Club game happen this year. I know that the Trench Trophy nominees were released, the Connolly Cup nominees were released, and
that's it for the Connolly Cup nominees. They will not be doing any more. That was their last weekend of them. So,
yeah. So, I'm glad we were able to do that. We won't be doing this again, but Tom, we're going to make a big announcement.
So, yep, and we'll officially put this out on social media, but our big announcement will be that we will be hosting the Diamond Notes, that we were going to do a weekly show that will start next Thursday. It'll be the Diamond Notes, where the first half of the hour show we will be hosting and highlighting everything baseball-wise, and then the second half of the show we'll get softball in there. So we are now going to have a show dedicated solely to baseball and softball. They're going to get their due right now. We've got some big things in Western New York. And I'll tell you, the Division I players that come out of Western New York for baseball and softball is unbelievable. There are some big things happening. We already had an 18 strikeout game by Clarence, and we're going to get into a lot of those things for that side of the spectrum. So starting next Thursday, we're going to go through. We'll be able to highlight what's happened during the week and then go on to what's going to happen over the weekend. I can't wait. Western New York baseball gets it due, and so is softball.
Yep. And pretty soon we'll have we're looking at our schedules next few weeks to see where we're going to go out and do some live streaming, baseball, lacrosse, wrestling. We've got a wrestling match already secured. I believe it's Star Point and Pioneer. We're going to be live streaming that wrestling match with Matt O'Rourke. I know we have a lacrosse game, Frontier, on June 10th. That's on the schedule. Other games are coming in. If you want us out to live stream, get in touch with your athletic directors, your coaches, and see what have them reach out to us, and we'll see if we can't get you on the schedule. But that should do it for our program. Timmy Gardner did a phenomenal job producing, making us look good. I know we had some bugs we had to work out earlier in the show, so thank you for sticking with us on that. Again, if you're just tuning in, the big announcement Tom had, baseball, softball show, Diamond Notes with Tom Prince of WNY Athletics. That's going to be, did you say what day that's going to be on?
Thursday.
It is going to be Thursday, an hour-long show. We'll talk baseball for the first half hour and softball for the next half hour. Tom and whoever he wants on that show with him, a guest each week.
Yeah, we'll have coaches, we'll have players. We're going to do a lot of different things.
Umpires?
But it will be, yeah, you never know. It absolutely could be. There's some good umpires out there that are phenomenal that can really help a lot of our kids get even better. You never know. We could have some umpires on there too.
Thanks to Howard Hanna for sponsoring Empire Electric, those guys as well, and they're going to be sponsoring the broadcast tomorrow. If you want to try and get an advertisement in for those games, all 4 games we're doing this weekend, you can still do it. Send us a direct message, and we'll hook you up with an advertisement there. What?
Jason Austin, a member of. He's got a son on the East Aurora team, just had a funny comment that we just laughed at that said this was the last year I was able to pick an Orchard Park team because everybody knows my son Luke is coming up the ranks and could be on the varsity team next year, so I wasn't allowed to pick him from here on in.
Well, there you go. But thank you very much for tuning in. Good luck to all those teams playing this weekend, and you'll see 4 of the 5 at least on the WNY Athletics social media platform for Tim Gardner. Tom Prince, I'm Frank Wolf for WNY Athletics. We'll see you again. Have a good night, everybody.